Celtic fans have stumped up big money for season tickets and strips, so it's now time for the board to splash the cash. Welcome back to Fog Football. Any guesses who said that? Well, if you said Chris Sutton, you'd be bang on the money, but guess what? The title says it, the thumbnail says it, so who else is really going to be saying it other than Chris Sutton? But yeah, Fog Football, back again. I feel like Chris Sutton's making these articles pretty much the exact same headlines every week. It's him demanding, and a lot of other people as well, that Celtic spend some money. So he talks about season tickets and strips, but what does he actually say in the article? Let's dive into it. It might have looked like a morale-boosting pre-season victory for Celtic, but seeing off Sporting Lisbon the other night might have actually been the worst possible result for Rodgers. His side performed pretty well, but it didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. The performance in Nygren was perhaps the one revelation. We know Cal McGregor is a player. We are well aware of what Riwatati can do and how dangerous Maida can be, and that Adam Adea needs to be a bit sharper in front of goals at times. But results like this one shouldn't kid anyone on. Celtic are still way short of where they need to be in terms of the squad. We can't keep saying the same thing every week with the new season and the Champions League qualifier inching every inch closer. Rodgers needs reinforcements, and his comments about incoming Shin Yamada won't exactly put fans at ease when it's clear they are starting to get a bit frustrated at the last of the serious movement in the transfer market. The manager described the Japanese striker as a club signing, and one he'll assess when he gets in to see if he's going to be the one to develop for the future or one for the here and now. I find all of it a bit bizarre. You don't get this stuff elsewhere about club signings opposed to manager signings. Rodgers has clearly been a bit cute. He will have had the final say on the deal, but it looks like he's agreed to take a look at a low-risk, cheap arrival while also creating a bit of distance if it doesn't quite work out. It's a strange scenario. You can't be overcritical of a transfer policy that you say that has made the club fortunes over the last decade and more, but it doesn't seem that Celtic don't half make things hard for themselves when it comes to transfers. End of quote. They have broken into that. Just a round stone cowboy. On the ropes here. On the ropes there. That was quite funny, but yeah, I mean, that signing, obviously, it's a certain article, is a bit outdated. It was prior to the Newcastle game and the announcement, but here, still very much a talking point when it comes to signings. He doesn't cost that much, right? And he's not coming in with the greatest numbers of all time. So, is it a club signing? Is it a Rodgers signing? Well, according to Chris Sutton, it's a club signing. It's not a manager signing. So, distance here, is it going to be crucial? Again, I don't think if this guy massively flops, it's going to be the end of the world, because like we've talked about previously, he's not come in for a massive fee. Don't really see too much greeting in that regard. But at the same time, you've still brought a guy in to do a job up front for Celtic. So if it doesn't work out, it's not like everyone's going to be over the moon with it. There's still going to be a few angry people. Sutton went on to say, and I quote, "There's a good chance they will spend a decent amount of money this summer. It's more a question of when. How often are they in this position? Fans were climbing the walls last summer waiting for new arrivals, and they eventually landed late in the window. I think the needs are more pressing this time around. Celtic need players in the door and with games under their belt before Europe." Rodgers knows it too. He's admitted he's still looking for new arrivals in the forward areas, and it's obviously why. Celtic have lost Nicholas Kuhn, Kyogo and Jota to injury. Chuck in Matt O'Reilly last summer, and that's a huge amount of goals that have gone for the team. Nygren looks like he might be able to chip in with a few, but Celtic right now are in a precarious position. They have Maida, Forrest and Yang in the wide areas, and that's not enough. Forrest is 34-year-old, and while he's a proven performer, he's had injury issues in recent seasons. Yang hasn't done enough to suggest he's capable of being a first-team regular yet. There's an awful lot on the shoulders of Maida. God forbid he was to get injured. Celtic will be right up against it. Fans I speak to are constantly asking me the same thing. What's going on with the signings? End of quote. Here, Forrest, obviously, you know, guy's a legend, won a lot of trophies at Celtic. I mean, that's an understatement. But it's like, who offers more at a stage of the game between Forrest and Yang? It's Yang every day of the week. Forrest is just there for the gimmick. Make no mistake about it. But, you know, where is the Warchest, folks? Sutton keeps banging on about it. What's going on with the signings? Could it just be the simple fact is that there's no guarantee of Champions League money? They've dried up. Sutton went on to say there's a fair few amount of them who are starting to get annoyed about it. It's understandable. Scottish Cup final disappointment is still fresh in the memory, and this dithering over transfers is putting them in a bad mood as the season approaches. You only need to look at the ticket sales for the Newcastle United game on Saturday/today. But that's not exactly a stampede, as they might not want to look too keen to stump up after already shelling out for season tickets and the new latest kits, which don't come cheap. Supporters are already facing tough times right now, and they might be picking and choosing when and where they spend their money. They might be a little late rush just because they want to watch their team, even if there aren't too many new faces in it yet. They'll feel like they have to spend their money supporting the side. Now it's time for the club to use it. As friendly games go, this should be a good test. You have to take into account it's still a pre-season game and it doesn't really matter. But there's always a bit of extra incentive when Celtic are playing teams from England. I'm sure Eddie Howe will get a nice welcome at Parkhead for starters, while his team will be a significant test and good barometer of where the clubs are at. I also enjoyed playing English clubs while at Celtic. It was probably the sense they looked down on Scottish football, so we enjoyed nothing more than going into the likes of Fulham and QPR and battering them before jetting out somewhere in America and pitting ourselves against the top EPL teams. Times have changed and clubs like Newcastle have now astronomical budgets, and this is a Champions League quality team. I'm sure there'll be a few in that Celtic dressing room who'd love to get one over on them though. Guys like Tierney, Cal McGregor know there's a bit of pride at stake as well as the usual fitness benefits. End of quote. I mean, it's a valid point for Sutton, but it's not like when Sutton was playing Newcastle were shite. I mean, Newcastle, it's a tough one. Like, the late 90s were good for Newcastle, but I mean, pretty much all the years that Alan Shearer was at Newcastle, they were alright. For me, the years at Newcastle were shite were around the mid 2010s, and approaching into the late 2010s. But yeah, Newcastle. What do we make of Newcastle, folks? Anyway. Transfers for Celtic. Sutton's not a happy man. Will they spend the cash? I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But at the same time, how long do you wait? The season is just about to start, guys. It's the 21st of July when this video gets uploaded. It's Monday. The season begins in less than 2 weeks. Champions League qualifier is at the end of August. But this time next month, Celtic will be competing in that Champions League qualifier. And what's going to happen if it goes tits up and they go crashing out? People are going to be pissed, and rightfully so. Because all we've heard about is this Warchest, and when you bang on about something, it turns out that, not saying it's not true, but when you bang on about something that's not being used, is there much use to it? Probably not.